Oftentimes, a user will need to elevate their current login to that of root in order to perform some system administrative task. There are a few ways of doing this by using su or sudo. Su is mostly used when you want to log into a session as another user. Most of the time, this other user is the root account. From a regular user account, we run su. When we run su, which is an abbreviation for switch user, by itself without a username, the system assumes that we wish to log in as the root user. So let's log in as the root user. Press enter, then enter the root password. Notice how the prompt changes from a $sign to a pound sign to reflect the change? However, if the root user has applications in /root/bin, then by just using su by itself, we will not be able to run any of those commands without specifying the full path to /root/bin. Here's why. If you look at the end of the path environment variable, we are using the bin folder from the user account we just logged in from. If we want to use the full environment of the root user, we need to use su with the dash option. Now let's look at our path environment variable again. See how we are now using the /root/bin directory in our path? This is because the dash option makes the shell a login shell. Review the earlier video about accessing terminals for a refresher on the differences between a login shell and a non-login shell. Most of the time, when you want to switch to the root user, you would do this with su-. There are going to be other times when you, as the root user, would want to grant a particular user or a group of users the ability to run system administrative commands without them using the root account. An inexperienced user with full root privileges could wreak havoc on a server if they were to make a mistake while working with important system files. This way, they can run singular commands and you don't have to give out the root password. We do this by allowing users to run the sudo command. Users are granted the ability to use sudo by having their usernames or groups added to the /etc/sudoers file. We edit this file by using the vicesudo command. We use vicesudo instead of editing the file directly since it has built-in error checking to make sure that we don't make any mistakes to the sudoers file. Having a broken sudoers file on our system could cause some serious problems. Let's take a look at the more commonly used directives in this file. The first line that we will look at is the one that allows root to run all commands on this system. You could add a user to this line to allow someone else to have full control on the system. This is generally frowned upon, but there are instances where this might be necessary. Below that, we have an example of allowing a particular group of users to have full access to the system. Below the next directive, we have some examples that use groups to run only certain commands that generally require root privileges. This will be the safer option rather than granting full access to the system, but your needs may vary. For now, we will add our K-Armstrong user to the directive that grants full privileges as an example. Here, we are granting the K-Armstrong user the ability to run all commands on this system. Now, we save the file. Have a look at the video where we discuss Vim if you need some help on editing a file with Vim. And let's log back in as K-Armstrong. Now before, only root could read the /etc/shadow file, but by preceding our command with sudo, we should be able to do the same. As an example, as our K-Armstrong user, we're going to try to read the shadow file, and we can't do it. However, if we precede our command with sudo, we should be able to do so. And we're going to put in our password, and there we go. Notice that after the command has run, we are still on our own account. We were able to read the shadow file without logging in as root.